Welcome to Confidently Visible. This is a podcast to help you move through visibility blocks such as fear, resistance, and overwhelm to put life-changing work out into the world and to grow your career or your business. I'm your host, Beck Sands. I am a visibility mentor, a certified life coach, and award-winning PR consultant, and I'm based in sunny Newcastle, Australia. Let me guide you to show up as your unique self, share your incredible work, and to grow your audience with more consistency, ease, and flow. Whether you're a consultant, an entrepreneur, a CEO, a coach, or a creative, this is the space to unlock your uniqueness, to grow your audience, to make a bigger impact, all while feeling good about being seen. The world needs to hear your message. Now let's get started. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Confidently Visible podcast. It is so wonderful to be here with you today, and I'm excited to share about this topic, which I am really thinking about more and more as I step up in my business and as things start to grow and shift and evolve. So that is CEO habits to cultivate as a small business owner. Now, a lot of coaches talk about CEO habits and the CEO mindset and that kind of thing, but what does it really mean? I used to wonder that. So, of course, CEOs have like a leadership mentality and, they've got certain habits. And I kind of associate CEO habits with like the 5 a.m. kind of wake up club or even earlier. And that's definitely not me. So that's not one that I'm going to be sharing with you today. So don't worry. It's definitely not a 5 a.m. club around here. I'm all about lifestyle and freedom-based business and being able to craft the business and life around your work or the work around your life, however you want to look at it, but really creating something that works for you. So today I'm going to share with you though, some of the CEO habits that you can start to cultivate as a small business owner that will support you in this pursuit. And it doesn't mean 4:30 starts. It doesn't mean 5 a.m. starts. So some of the CEO habits that every small business owner can cultivate, even if you have zero desire to build a big corporation, even if you're just building a solopreneur business or a micro business with, a few consultants or some remote staff, or even just a small agency or a small business, with a few employees, whether you're just building that, there are still CEO habits to cultivate. So I'm not going to be sharing with you habits that are all around hustle or building a fancy big team. So this is really just about stepping into leadership in your business and in your mindset across all areas of your business, including the financial aspects and the planning aspects. So that you can build confidence in your decision making, so that you can create more spaciousness and alignment and ease as you grow your business. Now, that's what we're really wanting here, right? It is so that we're not second guessing ourselves and what we're doing all day, every day, and not worried about the next step and not constantly chasing the next shiny object so that we can, achieve an end result that we're not quite sure what it even is, And I know that we can get caught in this trap, and it's fine. It's fine. As a small micro solopreneur business owner, it's absolutely fine not to know exactly where you're going just yet, because often the path appears as we take those steps. But in saying that, if you're wanting to grow a really sustainable business with less stress, then some of these habits will be really key to cultivate. So whether you're in an executive, a coach, a consultant, a creative, or a service-based entrepreneur, these habits are going to help you to take back your time. They're going to help you to think more strategically, and they're going to help you to show up with more confidence and clarity in your business journey. I mean, sounds good to me, right? So when you treat yourself like the CEO of your business, then that's when you can make more powerful decisions. You can start to take more aligned action and stop second guessing every single step. And you can attract the opportunities that are truly meant for you. So here's what you're going to learn in this episode. Why CEO time is the most valuable time in your calendar and how to use it. How to shift from stress mode into solution mode, even on tough days. What it really means to invest in your business and when to hold back. The mindset shift that turns fear of learning into confidence building. Why relationships are your greatest visibility asset and how to nurture them. And the one question to ask yourself this week so that you can lead your business like a CEO without having to get up at 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. Okay, so look, as a core message, I just want to share with you again that becoming confidently visible is all about being seen for who you are, it's not about being seen for who you think you should be, or it's not about crafting, a persona or a brand that is completely separate to who you are. Your personal brand and becoming confidently visible at its core, and this is the core of all my work and all of my teachings, is that, you're wanting to be yourself only on a bigger scale, essentially, and in front of your beautifully aligned clients and your beautifully aligned audience, right? So you're just wanting to appeal to the people that resonate with you and with your message. And that is the core of everything that I'm teaching. And that's the core of everything around becoming confidently visible and building your personal brand. So if you're wanting to become more like a CEO, it doesn't mean that you need to let go of who you are. It doesn't mean that you need to become someone different. It just means cultivating some habits that will support you in business, right? Or even in your career, if you're still in a career, having that CEO mindset and habits and becoming the leader in your own life, in your own career, and in your own business is going to be key. So a reminder that you're already the CEO of your life. It's just that some of these points today will help you to step into that role with more power and more clarity for you. Okay. So the first tip here is to spend CEO time. Now that means for me personally, I like to schedule that into my calendar. So that's at the beginning of every single week on a Monday. And then I'll also wrap up my week on a Friday, which doesn't quite count as CEO time, but it is all part of it. It's all part of that strategic planning and getting really, really organized. So the CEO time, I set it up at the beginning of every week before I get into everything, before I start to do the busy work. And this means just setting aside an hour, even 30 minutes, sometimes 2 hours if I've got a lot of planning to do, but just as much time as I can into my diary at the beginning of every week, so that I can have a look at what I'm doing this week, what is going to move the needle forward in my business. So some of the questions that I'll ask myself is, what have I got on this week? What are the priorities? I'll look at what's really important to me, and what's important to my business, and make sure that everything's scheduled in and that I'm really focused on the priorities, because what can happen, and what often does happen, is our clients' priorities will come up, and that is the stuff that feels urgent. That is the stuff that we can drop everything and do it. And then, of course, the book never gets written. The creative project doesn't get done. The podcasts don't get recorded. The business doesn't move forward, right? And so it's really, really easy to fall into this trap of kind of doing and reacting. And that is the crux of what we're wanting to avoid with this kind of CEO mindset, right? Like, we're wanting to be proactive. We're wanting to be strategic. We're wanting to steer the ship. And we're wanting to not just steer our own ship, but that of our business, that of our career, that of what it is that we're wanting to build. So the first thing is to schedule that 30 minutes to 2 hours, whatever time you've got available in your diary, preferably at the start of the week, but any time that really works for your schedule, to look at like what is actually going to move the needle forward this week. What are your priorities? What do you really want to get done? And how can you work that into your schedule or get support so that you can do it? Okay. The second point here is to think like a problem solver. Now, a business owner is truly just a problem solver. That's all I think of myself as. And I think the better business owners are the ones that get better at solving problems. That is truly all it is. And that's what leadership often, that's what it is as well. A big part of it is being able to solve problems and becoming a better problem solver. So if you can kind of just stop yourself before like spiraling into drama, just when a problem arises, which it inevitably will, and the problem could be anything from, how do I get in front of a new audience, or someone didn't like my post and someone wrote a negative comment on my post, or it could be, where like it could be a financial issue, it could be a business growth issue, it could be having too many options, it could be something went wrong when, you thought it was going to end up in a certain way and it didn't, which happens. This stuff happens. Maybe it's life that's happening to you, something in your life, like you've got to move house, it's a relationship breakdown, it's a finance concern. You've got health challenges which are really impacting you. Maybe, there's something that is derailing you and it is presenting a problem, and we can so easily fall into spiraling, self-doubt, negativity, succumbing to that kind of inner critic and the voice that says, well, it was never meant for you anyway, or you could never do it anyway, or you're not good enough anyway. These things that we all have. And so to varying degrees. And so becoming that CEO of your own mind and cultivating that problem-solving mindset is really key here to stop you in your tracks when you're spiraling and going, I'm kind of catastrophizing as to what could happen or complaining about the outcome. And you want to just stop that in its tracks, okay? And in fact, get rid of all complaining. That was one thing. I mean, I really struggle with that because I'm like a third child. Like complaining was the only way I got anything right in my family. But it was like, complaining is a really negative thing that is best to be avoided entirely unless you're standing up for yourself, of course, like that's different. So if you're proactively voicing a concern or looking for a solution or challenging someone in some way, then that's something different. But just complaining for complaining's sake, let go of it. So instead, just start to think like, how can I solve this problem? Think of it like a puzzle. Think of it like, like as Marie Forleo says, everything is figure outable. And if you haven't already, I would check out her book on that. But, it's like, think of it like someone who can solve a specific problem, and think of all of your problems, even if they're emotionally charged, which often they are when there are problems, think of it still as a problem to be solved. And instead of going, allow yourself to feel really shitty about it, of course. But then once you do that, it's like, okay, cool. This is a problem I'm facing. What's the next step? And if you can't change it, then what's the saying? Like, if you can't change it, change your attitude about it. It's like, if I can't change it, then why am I railing against it so hard? Why am I resisting it so hard? Why am I, if I can't change it, then fine, let's just accept it and focus energy elsewhere on something that we can control. Okay, so that's number 2. Number 3 is to get really comfortable with investment. This was a really challenging one for me, even before I started my business, but also in my business. I grew up with, single mum. We didn't have a lot of money, and, I've always had to fight for everything I've ever had. And so, investing for me can feel really challenging because, I am kind of like, okay, I should save my money. I should, invest my money. But I'm talking about, when I talk about investment, I'm talking about investing in yourself, investing in your growth, investing in your learning, investing in support, investing in your business, all of those kinds of things. Sorry, I'm just adjusting my microphone because Just want to make sure the cord doesn't come out, that you can hear me. But yeah, like it's about, investing in yourself first and foremost, and in things that will support you, like, masterminds, courses, business groups. I still really struggle here at every new level. But at every new level, I do invest. I do continue to invest. Like I've always had a business coach. I've always been part of a group or a mastermind or a circle or something. I always take courses. I'm always learning. I'm always, investing in myself and my growth and my business and getting support in some way or furthering things in some way. And I am cultivating a belief, and I say I am cultivating it rather than I have cultivated it, because it's something that I'm working on still every single day. But that is that, or every single time I invest in myself or my business, it comes back to me tenfold. And that has always proven true. Okay, so being a CEO means thinking about what you're going to invest next and doing it in a smart way and a strategic way that doesn't drain all of your resources or put you in huge amounts of debt, because you don't want that. But you want to be investing in a way that does kind of get you a little bit out of your comfort zone. Okay, because that's how you're going to move forward. And you want to be really strategic with your investments. So for example, working with a coach that has done the thing before you, like that you want to do, or like investing in the learning that you're going to then take and implement immediately in your business to get results. So it's not about just learning for learning's sake, even though that's lovely. I'd love to do that. I'd love to go back to uni and do another like honors or PhD, or not another, but like do an honors or PhD. But the thing is that it does feel a little bit indulgent because I'm kind of like, it'd be cool to do that, but maybe later in life when I've like achieved all my business goals. Okay, so the fourth thing is to become a lifelong learner and skill builder. So this is ironic. I just was considering what I just said about uni. But the thing is that, absolutely you do want to continue to learn and grow as a business owner, in your career, in your field of expertise, as a coach, as a consultant, as an expert in your field, whatever it is you are, you want to be continuing to learn and evolve. And that doesn't always mean traditional learning paths. Sometimes it does. Like I did a Bachelor of Media at Macquarie, majoring in PR and journalism, down in Sydney when I was like 21 or something like that. And I loved it. Like it was brilliant, and it was absolutely foundational for me because it gave me confidence that I could kind of finish things, and it taught me so much, and it was like a really great experience. But like now what I do is I prioritize practical learning that I can implement into my business to generate results immediately as we go, And so that is the kind of learning that I'm interested in now, because otherwise if I do learning and I'm not implementing it straight away, it's kind of just a hobby or a passion, which is lovely as well. And it's cool to have those. But if I'm going to be learning, I am hoping that I can make use of it and maximize that into my business now. And that's where I suggest you maximize the use of your time as well. The fifth point is to focus on relationships. So relationships are absolutely key in business, in PR, in your personal life, in your professional life, in the world. It's all about relationships, okay? And cultivating the relationships. None of us started with relationships. None of us start out with pre-existing relationships, okay? We build those as we go, and we build them by providing value, giving value, receiving value, like actually building genuine connections with people, being interested in people as human beings, looking for ways that we can give back, looking for ways that we can provide value with our services, like giving value without expecting anything back in return. Like looking for ways you can connect people, and if you start with a service-based mindset, then you're gonna like create relationships that will support your business, support your career throughout, no matter what. And I think this is one thing that people forget And they really do forget, or they don't implement it. They don't action it. They don't prioritize relationships as much as they potentially could. And relationships are really key. So for example, when I very first started my consulting business and stepped out of corporate, I prioritized just catching up with as many people as I could for coffee and going to as many events and networking and things like that. Not with the aim of getting something out of anyone, but it was just purely expanding my network and connecting with people and, just chatting about what I was doing and trying to figure out if I could, where I fit in the marketplace in terms of what people were looking for in relation to my services and what people needed and where I could provide more value. And I would, be like, okay, come on my podcast. And then they'd be like, yeah, come on my podcast. And, it's this kind of beautiful reciprocity, and just looking for ways to be of service in the world is just such a beautiful way to go. It's such a nice approach, and it absolutely will support your growth. I'm interrupting this podcast episode to let you know that I'm so excited to announce the next live round of my signature 6-week course, The Online Consultant, which will support you to turn your existing professional services and experience into a freedom-based online business. Now, we kick off in March 2026, so make sure that you're on the wait list to be the first to know dates and to get access to resources, freebies, and stories that I will only share with the waitlist over at becksands.com/the online consultant. All right, so that's the 5 CEO habits to cultivate as a small business owner. I'm just going to recap those. The first is to spend CEO time. The second is to problem solve with a growth mindset. The third is to invest wisely. The fourth is to stay open to learning and skill building. And the fifth is to build authentic relationships. So I want to ask you now, before you go, which of these habits will you commit to this week? So which one of these are you going to do this week? So if it's, this is spending CEO time, take out your phone now and just pop in a little diary note in your calendar now to ask yourself some CEO questions as to what it is that's going to move your business forward. What are your priorities? How can you make time for those? And, rather than just allowing the busyness of client work and day-to-day come first. Okay, thank you so much for listening to this episode. I hope this has supported you, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much for tuning in to Confidently Visible. I have loved being here with you today. I hope today's conversation inspired you to share your unique gifts with courage and to show up boldly and move through some of the visibility blocks that are holding you back. Now, if you loved this episode, I would love it if you could please leave a rating and review and share it with a friend who needs to hear this so that we can get this podcast into the ears of more listeners. If you're ready to become confidently visible for your career or your business, make sure that you head on over to becksands.com and sign up for my weekly newsletters where I share information, stories, and resources that I don't share anywhere else. Until next time, keep showing up as the amazing, unique you that the world needs.